This is Jamey with Stonemeyer Games, and I am here today to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. This is essentially a cooperative dungeon crawl game through a mansion instead of a dungeon, where you are solving puzzles, you are fighting bad guys, and you are using your each character's strengths and weaknesses as best you can to survive. And you're also kind of solving a mystery. And the game uses, probably most notably, an app to help players play the game. And the app serves as the dungeon master. Instead of having a player that everyone's playing against, it's fully cooperative and you're playing against the app, which controls all the stuff. That makes things really easy. Like, it tells you when to lay out tiles for different rooms. It guides you through that. It's a really, really well done app. And it is a specific feature of that app that I wanted to mention as my favorite game mechanism. And it's kind of two things within the same umbrella of the app being very responsive to the decisions that you're making in the game. I'll give you a few examples. And one is kind of hypothetical because we don't really know, or my group doesn't know, maybe someone in the comments will know. But in Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, when you're fighting a bad guy, you can deal damage to the bad guy that carries over from turn to turn. So on my turn, I might deal some damage to the bad guy survives, eventually deals some damage to us, and then on a future turn, maybe I or another player will finish off that bad guy, or at least deal some more damage to that bad guy, or evade. You can try to avoid the bad guy altogether. And the hypothetical, the thing that we think is happening with these bad guys is that depending on how much damage they've been dealt, it impacts the way that they respond. Because whenever you go to fight that bad guy, the same thing doesn't happen every time. It might ask you for a different type of skill check that might vary in difficulty compared to the first time that you encounter that bad guy. They might start off really strong and get weaker as you deal damage to them, or they might start off weaker and get stronger as they get angrier and angrier at you for dealing damage to them. This is our sense from playing the game with the app. We're not really sure, but if the app is actually doing that, because that's how we felt playing it, that's very, very clever. The second responsive element of the app is that you can play the same mission of Mansions of Madness multiple times, and the app itself will randomize the mystery that you're trying to solve. So, like I'll make a hypothetical. So, because I don't want to spoil anything, in the app you might be searching for a certain person, say in the mansion. They're somewhere tied up in the mansion. You're trying to find them. In one version of the app, the person might be in the dining room tied up, and the key that you need to unlock their handcuffs might be in a drawer in another room. But the next time you play the app, even though you know that you're looking for a person and a key somewhere, the app may completely change where those two things are located. Instead of being in a drawer, the key might be in a vase in the kitchen. And what I love about this, because this has been done in other games, right? You randomize certain elements of the game, and that changes each game. But what I love about it is that the locations of the things make sense according to the game. Like, the key isn't just in a random card pile associated with each room. It's actually in a drawer in that room, or it's in a vase in that room. It's hidden somewhere that's intuitive and that makes sense. That adds to the story. You can remember the time that you kept looking and looking for the key in these places, but really it was in this other place the whole time. I really, really like that. And that's what I think the app does so well. Because both of these things that I mentioned can be done in other games. You can have randomness as to where things that you're trying to find are hidden, and you can have variation in terms of how bad guys that you're fighting, or any entity that you're interacting with, you can have variability in terms of and progression as you're interacting with that character, to show that there is some change depending on how you interacted with them. I think that's a little bit more rare, but that is present in games that don't use the app, or don't use any app at all. But what I really think is clever about Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition is that the app does seamlessly tie those variations in to the theme of the game and the story of the game. Because it is an app, it is able to calculate all these different permutations and and actually give you text and mechanical elements of the game that make sense based on that text, and it really adds to the story of the game. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, because most games obviously don't use an app in that way. Creating an app like that is very, very expensive. I think very few publishers are going to be able to do it now or even in the future. I think it's going to continue to be very rare. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts about a game that adds responsive elements, particularly in an AI element of the game. Responsive elements within those AI to progress and evolve as you play, and to add variability each time you play the game. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments. Thanks.